Disclaimer, we'd like to note before the start of this interview that the opinions about to be expressed by the guest on tonight's Gettin Salty Experience podcast are that of the guest and do not directly or necessarily reflect the views of the host of the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
You're listening to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Hello, Ruffy. Welcome back to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
It's been a while.
It's the only one that brings the Firehouse Kitchen Table to you guys with all our loyal fans in the chat. We got Mike Radcavage. We got 21 Truck Tillman. We got the Rev Paul Myberg. We got Rob Procaccini. Mrs.
Procaccini's husband.
Mrs. Procaccini's husband is in there.
Can't forget the Mr. Jose.
Jose Martinez.
Gabe.
Yes. And the lovely Paula, right?
Oh, wait.
Agnes, whatever.
Whatever.
From Poland. Back. So this is our last show before Christmas, fellas.
No, we have one Monday.
Oh, this is not the last show before Christmas. We got one more.
What's Monday? What do we do on Monday?
Oh, we got, Chief Rice on from 17 Truck.
Oh, right. All right. Yeah, you're right.
You're right. One more show, but we got a hard charger tonight, bro. You never really seen any. Hasn't seen any fire. I gotta go get it. Hold on.
Oh shit! Don't watch out.
It's going down. What do you think, guys? It's definitely going down.
Holy shit!
He's like a bull in a china closet. I found it. I got it.
You didn't even have to bend over to get that.
Anywho, we got a hard charger on tonight. Big Brooklyn guy started in Manhattan, then he went to Brooklyn. You know, worked with Ruffy. We worked in a. Did you guys run in with 120? Hunting Tree.
I never heard of them. Where are they?
They run in with 120.
I'm still trying to figure out what that company is.
Yeah,
I used to see them all the time.
Ah, so he was hip to your shit. He knew all about you.
Yeah, you know, that's how they got places.
We were like this, even back then, with all the hate. We were like that.
Yeah?
That's Louis on top.
There we go. Well, anywho, before we get to commercials, I got to tell you, I watch all the time on YouTube. One of my biggest things is I love guys who do impersonations. You ever see those guys on TikTok? Love it. I had no idea that Rob Procaccini does fucking impersonations. So I got actually a picture. I have a video of him doing an impersonation of a fire siren. So guys, pull it up. Here's Rob Procaccini.
Hold on. Tornado siren, a super tornado siren.
Where did you find that thing?
Procaccini sent it to me. And there he is, bro. He's there's some person that you see the spit fall out of his mouth.
He was excited.
It's almost like we should do it again. It's almost like we should do it again.
Tornado siren. Do it one more time. I gotta say,
help that guy out with his dental plan. I don't know what's going on.
Let me just make sure this.
Here's Procaccini. Turn the volume up.
Oh, what the hell?
Come on.
There it is. Oh no. Hold on. Here we go.
Okay, guys, let's do a tornado siren, a super tornado siren.
Oh, nice. I like it. Not bad.
He's pretty spot on. I'm not gonna lie. I think that's what it really
pretty close.
Like.
That's a tornado siren if I ever saw one, bro.
Somebody in the chat that's from that area, verify that for us. Let us know.
That's Frankie. Frankie boy.
Oh, it's Frankie.
Nice job, Frank.
He is
love that kid.
autistic, but you know that's all good.
All right, we give him a little.
We're giving him some nice fame right now. That's what we're doing.
We get him on the show. I'd like to get him on the show to do the super tornado siren.
He would be honored. I'm sure.
All right, let's get to the commercials quick because the captain's waiting around. We can't keep him kind of like that sitting in the back. So come on.
Well, we're gonna do New Jersey Fire first. Here we go.
Okay.
Established in 1930 and under the current ownership since 1987, the New Jersey Fire Equipment Company handles a complete line of fire department equipment and supplies. Headquartered in Greenbrook, the company operates full 3M Scott service facilities in Ridgefield Park and Toms River, staffed by 10 fully authorized Scott certified technicians with a fleet of 6 fully equipped service vans. All New Jersey fire technicians and sales representatives are active or retired firefighters, officers or chief officers, career and volunteer. They understand the business and the importance of their work. New Jersey Fire has represented Scott since Earl Scott entered the SCBA business at the end of World War II. Among other leading manufacturers represented by New Jersey Fire are Globe and Firedex Turnout Gear, Mercedes Hose, Task Force Tips and Akron Brass, Hygenol, Fire Hooks, Arctic Compressors, MSA Carnes Helmets, ChemGuard Foam, Alkalite and Duo Safety Ladders, BA Face Shield Protectors, Truckman's Choice Saws, Grove's Gear Racks and Washer Dryers, Supervac Fans, RPI, Streamlight, and many others. A New Jersey incorporated and based company, sales and service are limited to the state of New Jersey. Find us now at www.njfe.com. That's www.njfe.com.
All right, what are you going with now? Capital?
Yeah, let's knock out Capital. We'll do Armored Tough for the end.
All right.
Here we go.
Founded in 2010, Capital City Industries specializes in serving the fire service through custom helmet work, helmet sales and repairs, gear, tools, and apparel. They are a firefighter family-owned and operated company, with the majority of the crews serving in the City of Hartford Fire Department in Hartford, Connecticut. CCI's core business is with fire helmets, where they specialize in keeping that golden era old-school leather helmet fit and appearance alive and well in today's fire service. Using their own CCI liner, brass band conversion, retro brass holders, and other various parts, they take either a modern leather or plastic helmet of any age and transform it into a functional lid that is fitted to your head and looking like it came out in 1985. While fire helmets remain their own core business, CCI has also expanded to other areas of the fire service industry with their own line of CCI gear. The company brings to the market the fast-adjusting CCI radio strap built for comfort and function, along with the quick disconnect anti-sway strap and CCI's own helmet chin straps in retro military green Nomex, not seen since the 90s. CCI also has proudly re-engineered and brought back the Hartford Plaster Hook, an in-house machine shop design from the Hartford Fire Department. Phased out of service in the 1990s, the Hartford Hook has been reproduced using modern technology and materials and both a traditional wood handle and an all-metal handle. The tool predates almost all other hooks on the market today, dating back as early as the 1920s. CCI has its own apparel line, including t-shirts, hoodies, and ball caps, with designs originating from artists such as J.P. Sokolowski, 10-3 Graphics, and Black Swine Design. With most of the shop crew serving as firefighters, CCI understands the needs of today's fire service. So if you want functional gear, a retro plaster hook, or your helmet serviced by a company that is tried and true, choose Capital City Industries. By firemen, for firemen.
There you go. And you know what? It's the Shapiro family, bro. It's a family-run business. We love those guys. And me and Louie were next to him in the booth and watching them do their helmet thing. It's freaking amazing, bro. They will take any helmet and retrofit it for your dome. I didn't know your cousin, isn't that a relative of yours, the artist, Sokolotsky? I mean, you picked that up, didn't you?
Yeah.
You just see God's face. He didn't pick that up right away.
Yeah.
My well-known artist, Sokolotsky. I'm like, wow, Gonzo?
And his brother, Hal. How'd you like a kick?
Yeah. All right. Enough of the shenanigans. Let's get into Captain.
You ready, guys?
Ruff, do your thing, Ruff. Do
ready.
it.
Let's go. Let's bring it.
All right, coming to the stage,
Dodger.
our good friend, Captain Larry Tompkins.
Give the old baseball one.
What's up, kid?
Show, Cap.
How's it going, guys?
You're still here after you saw that siren bit, huh? I thought you were
That's pretty good. I like to have his head on the front of a rig. People get out of the way.
I have a bunch of his stuff, so I'll send some more to you. Gotta have him on the show, Frankie. All right, but let's get patriotic before we dive into the captain's career.
Yes, sir. Here we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The follow. Yes, hi, Cindy Drake. I see you in the chat. Love her. All right, Cap. Welcome to the show. To this thing.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas to you as well. The cheese. I told you the cheese man would be in there. He's called.
Hey, cheese.
What does the shover mean?
If I didn't have a good comeback, I'd push you.
The shover. There you go. You can't shove the cheese too far.
No. Cheese didn't move when you shoved.
Nah, he was. He's the immovable force.
He's a wrestler. He'll grapple you.
He's a wrestler, boxer, but yet he's still a beautician. He cuts hair. Remember?
Cuts hair. No,
Yeah.
He's not a barber. No.
No.
Not a barber.
No. All right, Cap. So let's dive into the early years of Capt.Tompkins. Where'd you grow up? Tell us a little about the family life. How you got involved in the fire department.
Well, I had no family on the fire department. It was something that I have no idea why, but I always wanted to do. I always talked about. I read Dennis Smith's book. My brother had it, and I read that book as a young kid. It was just something I talked about doing, but I was a knucklehead when I was young. I was just
define knucklehead. I'll let you know if you were a bigger knucklehead than me. Haven't been arrested.
It's a tough
I've not been arrested. But
all right, I beat you.
Luckily, I was a smart knucklehead. I was able to evade the authorities.
Nice.
Right.
Nice.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Merrick, Long Island, and then when I was 13, we moved upstate New York.
Oh, up by Louis?
No, but by Albany, up by Albany.
Oh,
really? All the way?
Yeah. My father was in the FBI, and he retired. He had to retire because of age at that time, and so he transferred out of New York before he retired up there because they paid for you to move if you did it. So
what did he do in the FBI?
he was an agent for 30 years.
Come on, he was a G-man.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact,
Nice.
he worked with Patty Brown's father. He was friends with Patty Brown's father.
Holy.
And I met Patty Brown before I got on the job. I was on the list to get on, and this girl we both knew introduced me to him, and he took me to my first firehouse. But I didn't know till years later that
Who the hell he
our
was?
fathers were friends.
Yeah. that's
Really?
crazy.
You didn't know that Patty Brown was a superhero at the time.
I didn't know. I mean, I got to know him. Obviously,
Right.
I got to see after.
Wow.
How did you feel like you wanted to go to the FBI when you were a kid?
No, I don't know why. I mean, I think that Dennis Smith book, and even before that, as like little kids talk about it. And I tell you what, I shouldn't say this on the internet, but I remember having a dream of carrying this girl out of a burning building one time. This girl I liked, and
Oh, my hero.
I want to be a fireman.
Oh, I know what I want to do.
This guy's getting all the action.
But yeah, and then actually a friend of mine whose brother was on the job, I was bouncing around doing crazy shit, and I was wound up driving a truck out in California. And
Holy
a
shit.
friend of mine in New York, one of my best friends said, listen, I signed you up for the test. You got to come back.
Come on.
Isn't it always the way, Ruffy?
Yeah.
How
His
people
brother
become-
was his brother was a great fireman out of 113, Mark Conaway. But he signed me up for that.
Dude, that's pretty crazy. I never heard that before.
Signed you up, and you
Yeah,
had
he
to
said,
come
I
back
signed
and
you
take
up for the test. You got to come back. And
He wasn't dreaming of picking any chicks up in a truck.
Nah, maybe he was.
Maybe. I don't know.
Depends on what kind of truck it was. You
Now
know
you're
what I mean?
talking serial killer type of stuff.
I was going to say, maybe he was going in the back. I don't know.
True. Okay, I take that back.
So the guy signed you up. You're in California,
Yeah.
and you fly back just to take the test, or
I did. It's the only. I came back to take the test, and they got drunk the whole weekend and passed the test, and then did the physical, and then there was a delay with the physical. You remember, Louis, right? A couple guys died.
Yeah, the one guy died during the physical, and they delayed it.
Yeah, so there was a big delay, and then
Did you fly back to California after you took
No,
the
I
test?
stayed. I came and I bartended in New York. I got an apartment and bartended in New York until the job.
So you
came
live
up.
in the Vida Loca, bartender in New York.
Yeah,
You live in
an
New
Irish
York.
place.
Imagine
Oh, an Irish bar. What a shock.
Yeah. Right around the block from my first firehouse, too.
by 7.
Really?
No
By 7
way.
truck? We'll
Yeah.
get into that, though. All right, so you take the test, and you get called in, let's see, 1990.
Yeah, I came back in 80, right after I took the test. I came back. And then I bartended and
How long did you wait before you got called when you took the test?
3 years, but I was in the second class off the list, but it took 3 years because of the delays.
Right.
But
So you're
Yeah, I think I
bartending, living the life,
Yeah.
doing whatever you're doing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? As a bartender living in Manhattan,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
and the job calls you. Who's in your probie class? Anybody that we
Oh,
might
yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, it was the second class there. They did 100, and then in our class they did 300, but it was split into like an A and B,
Right. We had that too.
early and late. It was Liam Flaherty, Jimmy Ellison, Billy
Never heard of him.
Rogers.
Flaherty, Ellison.
Liam.
Was
Billy
Pickford?
Ah, you had
in
an
that class?
all-star class, bro.
Was Pickford in that class too?
Pickford came
He
a
wasn't.
year or so after.
Oh, a year after.
I think a year after.
So you had Flaherty,
James
Ellison.
Hurley, a guy that came.
Was
with me,
Varengia in that class?
Who was that?
Varengia, 290. Johnny Varengia.
It could have been, man.
I think he was in
I know
90.
the faces.
Yeah, I think he was in
bad with
90.
names. But yeah, it was good. It was, it was a good class. I knew
Oh, look
nothing
at that
about
guy.
the job though.
Oh my God.
That's Mike Sullivan. He went to 170.
Oh my God. I remember him. He was there forever. That guy too, right?
Yeah, he retired out of there.
Yeah, he was there forever. I remember his face.
Canarsi's bravest.
Yeah, I remember in probie school, like going through the mass confidence, and I'd never done anything. I wasn't a volley or nothing. And he like watching some guys go through. I'm like, shit, how do they know how to do this, man?
Mm-hmm.
And some of them have been, they never mentioned it, obviously.
It was on the down low. Where's that other picture?
That one?
Oh, Steve
Yeah.
Elliott was in your class.
Who is it? Steve Elliott.
Oh, there's another guy, Rusty. You know Rusty from 257, Louis, probably. He was a senior guy in the engine.
Oh yes, I do know. Yeah. I remember him too.
Yeah. That's
Who
my
is this young fella? And I don't mean you.
Yeah, it's my nephew who's now in his mid-30s.
Nice.
On a job?
No. I at one point he's upstate New York. He's working for the state up there in Albany. But I almost got him, and my sister-in-law put a nix to it.
She put the kibosh on it.
Yeah.
Is that the Malika?
Larry, how old were you when you got on?
1990. It was 28. 28.
That's like me. I got on later too. I was
Yeah.
older.
A lot of guys. Well, some guys, like Jimmy
There were
Ellison.
guys in their
those guys,
30s.
They were very young. They were like 21 or something.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, my brother got on.
23.
He just turned 21 the month before. I'm like, oh.
I wish I'd done an earlier test.
So you get into probie school and then you get assigned. You got any good probie school stories before we move on to probie school?
No, nothing really special. Well, there was one guy. Yeah, one guy there. One of the instructors, Don Glennon, was a 120 guy, and he was the most. To me, he was the most like influential instructor I had there. And I always remember that's the first I started to hear about that company. And then like there were other times in my career that I wound up getting there eventually. But that's the first I was impressed with him. He was a like squared away guy and just
So that planted the seed of 120 in your head.
yeah. And then there were other seeds planted. But when I got to 7 truck, I was very lucky. That was a great firehouse, 7 and 16. And the day I went with my cake, when you get the assignment,
Yeah.
I go there and they get a run, and they say hop on the rig, and it's a job, and it's at 23rd Street and Broadway, which is where they had the 23rd Street fire.
Oh shit.
The 12th fireman died. And there was a job. It's no longer the same building. It's a new building, but there was a job. It was weird. There was a job in that building that day.
Wow.
And then after
Did you know at the time, or they told you afterwards? You had
No,
no
they
clue,
came
right?
out. They showed me afterwards. They showed me.
Oh, they showed you the plaque. Nice.
Right.
So, but I went there. Who else? James Hurley, a guy who did like 33 years there. Went there. He just retired last year, and Steve Marceau is a chief now who also went with me at the same time. But
How
it was
long-
a great firehouse.
How long did it take you to catch your first job when you got there?
I don't remember how long. I remember one of my first jobs that was really like a job, and
What
it
was
felt
it?
like. And I remember there were a lot of SROs at the time in that area, and the Manhattan was different. It wasn't the way it wasn't the realist.
It wasn't
Giuliani
Disney World.
wasn't mayor yet, and the real estate hadn't taken.
Wasn't
off.
Disney World. Yeah.
No. And then there were a lot of SROs, and we used to get the regular amount of work was usually in SROs. The Kenmore, the Elton, these. And my first job was in one of them, and I remember going down the hall, and it was like a wall of smoke, and we stopped to put our masks on, and I thought, what the fuck am I doing here? So
It is
like,
that at
I
one
said,
time
well,
you do it, the first time you do that, it is that
Yeah.
what the hell is going on? This is for real. Like this is really
Yeah.
for real, right?
yeah, and I said, well, if I get out of here, that means this whole thing's over. So I guess I got to go. And I went, and then it's I did what I had to do, and then I was all juiced up, and I was excited, and
Once you get the first one under the belt,
yeah.
You know,
No,
you know
it
what
was
I
good.
remember? I remember in '93, I was the first class in '93, and our numbers weren't probably too far apart, but they were only making 100 a year or whatever the heck they were doing at the time, 200 a year. But I remember them talking about the new technology that was coming out, which was the thermal pane windows, right? You might start seeing more thermal pane windows. Do you remember when you worked there, like early on in the 90s, that you had regular windows a lot of times? Do you remember that?
There were definitely some tenements. It was that area around 7 Truck has a real mix of occupancies. They have everything from the high rise in one section, high rise residential, commercial, tenements, brownstones, just regular occupancies, commercial occupancies. But yeah, there were in some of those older buildings.
Still had the
That
old
was
stuff.
pretty good though, right? They would break. I mean,
Easy.
The windows
Yeah.
would break easy.
I remember guys talking about it. Like most of when I was in 117, when I got there, I would say probably like half to 3/4 already had those the thermal panes, right? So, but every time I would take one of those other windows, I would hit it so hard that I would almost lose the tool or the can because you were trying to hit it so hard, and meanwhile there was nothing there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
oh, you already lost the can when Patty threw it down the hallway. So, I mean, you didn't really have that.
Don't give up your tool, Larry. Don't give up your tools.
There we go.
Yeah.
That. You knew that right away, bro.
My can's here somewhere.
Exactly.
So you got any fires that stand out in your mind that you went to?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not the best. There were the first 3 years or so before things started changing quickly in Manhattan. There was some good fires because you know what happened. You mentioned Disney World. That was the time when all those buildings there were numerous multiples over by 42nd Street because they were. I don't know who was burning. All of a sudden, all these places were burning down right before Disney World came in. But so there were a bunch of multiples over there, and I had. There was some good, sub basement fires and some.
Whoa!
No sub cellars for Louis.
But they were good. They were good firemen in that firehouse. Very good. They weren't like Buffy types, but they when something was happening, they were good.
Was there a lot of senior guys there, Larry, when you went?
There were this guy Eddie McCaffrey was a tough guy. He did 20-something years there, and then he went to 49 Truck as a lieutenant. He stayed there almost another 20 years. But a tough Vietnam vet guy. Don Carcone in the engine. A lot of mid-level guys that were about my age or maybe a little bit older, but that got on younger. Mike D is a guy that's still on, great fireman. He's up in the Bronx. Patty Cotton, like I said, James Hurley with me, Joe Deserto, the guys in the engine, Tommy Gurnan, John Passaretti, great firemen. Tremendous respect for these guys. And if I was, if those guys were working, I'd say I'd put them up against any of the firemen. It took a longer time to get because there were so many different occupancies, and you didn't getting the amount of fires like a ghetto. So it took a long time to learn
the ghetto.
And I'll just say one fire that my first year that stands out was we had for your first year in 7, they didn't let you. You had to stay on the inside team. And but then this one night, 6 months, 7, and I was reading back then. That reading Tower Ladders, Ladders 3, and all that stuff. But now we're 6 months into it, and I'm so used to the inside team. I kind of drifted a little bit from doing the reading, and then all of a sudden one night we got 2 details, and the chauffeur is a young chauffeur, 3 years on the job.
What
which
could
was
happen?
very rare back then.
Murphy's showing up here. I can see this happening. Holy shit.
And we get it, and then 3 o'clock in the morning, boom, we get a job, and it's on 36th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, and it was 2 3-story buildings, like tenements, and they would connect, but they looked like, and with the doors on the left side of each one, and but there was a common wall balcony, metal, looked like a fire escape between them. So it looks in the middle of the night when you come up, it looks like one occupancy. And there's a tree right in front of the building, and the first floor, it's actually blown out. I didn't realize was the front door and 2 windows on the left side, which was a separate building. And then this other door looks like it's in the center of the building, but it's actually on the left side of the exposure building. So I'm in there's no aerial there, so I got to take the bucket to the roof. I get up to the roof, and I'm stepping over a small parapet, like a foot tall. And I go, it's a very old building, and I go, and it's a scuttle. So I open the scuttle, but I open the scuttle of the adjoining building. And then I search the perimeter, and then I get back, and there's no fire escapes going to the roof because it's just common balconies. And so then I finally realize I open up the other thing, but it's still not clicking. This is 2 buildings. I open up the other scuttle because there was smoke in both buildings.
Right.
But, and then I come around finally. I got to go down. Back then they used to do, the roof man would go down and search.
Yeah, down the.
So I came down to the top floor, and the tree's on fire. It's still craziness. and I smash into with the bucket. I smash into the balcony. And for a year, you could see the balcony was like a huge thing. But I still made it. I'm not proud of this because I had like 6 or 7 months on. I still made a mistake. I went in the other building, which was smoke. I went in that window first, and then I came out, and I think it's finally hitting me. And I go in to the other. I take an air conditioner out. I go in the other side, and it's banked down up there. And then rescue gives a 1045 in that. Oh, I know. I know. I was like in the next room over. But what I learned from that, stuck with me for the rest of my career. Which was like, that it hit me that how come I didn't fucking notice all this stuff right in front of my eyes? I was stepping over a small parapet. I opened 2 scuttles. I realized there was no ladder between it was a common balcony. It wasn't a fire escape, even though it looks like a fire escape.
Yeah.
But it stuck with me like about that. And I remember one of the senior guys, the senior guy, Eddie McCaffrey, said to me, he said, Larry, you know how you become an experienced fireman?
By going to fire. Yeah, exactly. With 6 months on the job, 7 months on the job. I mean, as long as you learn from it, right? I mean, like you said, it kept it the whole goddamn career. Yeah,
she survived. It turned out her husband came walking back in the middle of fire with a little kid. I think he lit the place. It was like a stairwell fire. But that one sticks out. And then there was other stuff I'm sure I forgot, but there was one that stuck out 2 weeks before the first Trade Center. It was on Super Bowl Sunday, and we never got jobs, class E's in Manhattan. You know what they are? The
torture.
Automatic alarms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we didn't get them too bad because we were a little bit we get them once every 3 months, we get it. But that Super Bowl Sunday, as soon as the game ended, boom, we get an alarm, and we go in, we're second due to 2 truck on 48th and Park, and it was a high rise. And the first 15 stories of the high rise was one building, and then it's separated into 2 towers, like 40 stories, 50 stories, something crazy. But we get there, and it's blowing out 4 high rise windows out of a commercial thing on the 7th floor. Yeah. And 2 truck Captain Ill, who died in the Trade Center, who's a tough fireman. they were in a fire tower coming at it, and they couldn't get into the hallway at all because as soon as they opened the door, the fire just came right at them. They couldn't even get in. And we went up and we got on the 7th floor from the other end, and eventually it just kept getting worse and worse there. And we had 65 engine with us, and we got to this door to like the lobby. And as soon as they opened the door, it was now banked down to the floor everywhere, and it was hot as shit. And as soon as they opened the door, it's almost like right in front of us was the officer from 65, who was a 120 guy, Captain Savage. It's almost like somebody kicked him in the head. He like lifted off his feet from the heat and got knocked down.
Wow.
And they couldn't. It was guys were getting, the two guys on the line were getting burned without even seeing any fire. It was so fucking hot. And then they called us down. They luckily it was on the 7th floor. They were able to get. I think it wound up going out like 22 windows. And we
didn't do so good there, Goob.
No,
Only 22.
I think somebody from rescue grabbed the guy from 24 truck that got turned around in the lobby on the floor above.
Hank is saying that he was at the job. Coobs, you're muted.
Yeah. He was in Rescue 1 at the time, I think.
Hank and Bruce Newberry, I think.
Yeah. And also it was one of those ones where they had that whole thing when you're studying about the HVAC shutting on the fans, and they did that in the stairwell. When we first went in, it sounded like an airplane in the stairwell going up.
No
and it
shit.
was pressurized. They pressurized it, and then they shut it down. So when we got back out, we all ran out of air, and we're coming back down, and you had to go down like 4 flights just to get out of the smoke.
Holy shit.
And the two guys from 65 engine, the two guys on the line jumped in they jumped in a closet. Had to go back up and get them. But
how'd they wind up putting the fire out?
The 7 truck and I think another towel ladder got it from the outside because it was on the 7th floor. They were able to get it.
Wow.
But then 2 weeks later, the first Trade Center happens. So that was 93, Super Bowl Sunday 93, and I think it's about 2 weeks later the first Trade Center happened.
Were you working that day?
That just went into
right. Were you working for the first Trade Center?
I wasn't working. No, 7 truck went down. They walked all the way up to the roof and took down some kids from the roof, a class, some kindergarten class or something. But no, I wasn't working that day.
I knew it could have been Pickford. He can't walk that high, bro.
It might have been. He might have been working.
Yeah. Got to throw him under the bus, whatever.
Pickford was a good man. He was into it from the.
Yeah, I love Pickford, man. I drove him all the time, Pickford. Funny motherfucker. Very
sharpest tongue on the job, I think. One of them.
Dude, he's quick. Yeah.
He will cut you. You don't even know you're cut and bleeding.
Yeah. How was that kitchen table there? Was it rough?
That was a tough kitchen. I'm sure Vinny will tell you that was a tough kitchen table. There were guys, they were like Muhammad Ali with the mouth there. I flew under the radar. I was old enough to and I would take some hits and I'd take them good.
You gotta take the hits. You can't let them see.
And then it's okay. Yeah. If you react badly to the hits, then it's
like a gazelle.
Then it's dog pile on the rabbit. You're done.
Full season.
It's like 10 lions looking at a gazelle that has a little blood coming out of his like off his body.
Yeah.
They took the first captain there. The Captain O'Shaughnessy. The guy was like, he's always talking about how good his gas mileage was on his car coming into work. So the guys, they were adding gas to his car. Like 80 miles an hour. And then they started to do the opposite.
Oh my God, I freaking love it.
Brothers.
That's great. That's freaking
classic,
great.
bro. That is classic.
No, it was a great fire. It was a great fire. Still is a great firehouse there.
You were there for 8 years, right? You spent 8 years there?
Yeah, and then I had great officers. Vinny Fowler, God rest his soul.
Oh, right.
Was there. Kozlowski, George Valabona, and then eventually we got Jim Manahan, a 120 guy, and Al Hay, both 120 guys. Al Hay they both became staff chiefs. Al Hay had the engine and Manahan had the truck. And when they came, they were good buddies. It was good for the house. It was good for the house. A lot of energy.
You had Valabona there? Was he the guy from Rescue 2?
No. He was an 18 truck guy, big
Oh,
tall
okay.
guy, good, very good officer. They're all good there. They're all good, and a good house. And they still that first week I went there, like every October they still celebrated. They didn't celebrate, but they had a memorial mass for the 23rd Street fire. And one of the guys' sons worked there. Joe Finley worked there.
Oh,
his father was a lieutenant in 7 that day. I mean, that was a terrible fire. 12 guys lost. And,
Yeah.
But no, that was a great place. And then I was looking to maybe go to. It started to Manhattan was changing and it was getting slower, and I was becoming more senior. And admittedly, I get a little. The younger guys are doing the stuff, and I got a little lazier. I could feel myself getting lazy, and I thought about going to a truck in Brooklyn. And I started to learn more about the job. I'm a slow learner, so it took me, but that was almost impossible back then. It seemed to get to a busy truck over there. Then the squad thing came up, and so I decided to go for that.
So what
You just did that on your own? Did you talk to any of the captains prior, or how did that work?
No, I did. Mike Zofchek, who wound up being a 55 truck guy, then he was in the union. Really good guy. He was on the football team.
I was in Kobe school with Mikey Zofchek.
Yeah. He had been in 252, and he told me, you should try to go over there. And he decided not to do it. He went back. He went to 55 truck. But so yeah, I did talk to the captain, and I went over there, and it was a great. That was a great time. You guys did it too. I mean, you trained with everybody, and a lot of, I was only there for less than 4 years, and it seemed like a lot of stuff happened in that time. As soon as we got there, you guys know, I didn't work that night, but Atlantic Avenue
fire, right.
Yeah.
We were talking in the pre-show with 288. You guys went as an engine, but I think you guys operated as a squad, right? Or did you operate as a squad?
Yeah, they were pulling out guys.
Yeah, and we got relocated to 332 that night. So we were listening to everything the whole time. I mean, we ended up staying there the whole time. But
that was then there was other Starrett City a year later, and I was at that one. And somebody was just saying it's the anniversary. It just passed the.
Yeah, it just passed. Yeah.
But, yeah, there was a lot of stuff I learned over there. There were a lot of row frames, which you guys dealt with some of that too, right? In 288, which is a different kind of fire.
Some of my best row frames was when I was at 288, and you guys were first due over there, and we came over there. I came there with Quickie a few times. It would be 3 or 4 of them going. It was great.
Yeah.
Every time.
And they were good. The companies were very good at that over there. Getting ahead of it and fighting them. But
how was it over there? Because by us, you guys in 252, your engine 252, now you squad 252, but you're running with companies like 111.
There was a little. Oh yeah. There was a little like they're looking at. I'm sure they're looking at us. But what was good is so many guys stayed in that company, and they knew the guys.
Right.
And there was some, Tommy Kavekas, who had been a 175 fireman for 20 years, was there, and he was a great fireman. And there was guys that had respect there. So, and when we were an engine, They were very Richie Sweeney. The senior guys were very much like, we do what we're supposed to do. We're not playing games here. And also when we went as a squad, I mean, you develop, it's a learning curve, but
Right.
when you went, you didn't, if guys are, you don't squeeze yourself into a room when guys are taking care of business. It just gets stupid if you do that.
Right.
So we try not to do that. I'm sure there were some bumps along the way, but it went pretty well. And then when there's a fire, you guys know when there's a fire big enough, they welcome the help.
There's enough fire for everybody. Yeah. But I think there's a period where we had to find where we belonged. You know what I mean? Like when you first show up as a squad, number one, they don't know what to do with you. And number two, you're so new that you don't really know what to do. So it was a long period before we found where we were supposed to be, I think.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was like for us over there. And then there was some, I had never been in an engine, so I got lucky enough. I got a bunch of nozzle jobs over there, which was exciting. And I'll tell you, it also gave me respect for the engine because I realized it's not just so. I just assumed like you didn't have to learn anything; you just had to jump on the line. But no, there's technique. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty close to that, though.
Oh, come on.
I'm just saying. I don't know.
I'm just saying.
But you see that there's guys that are better at it. There's like techniques and stuff they do, to keep that line moving. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then.
Who did you become close to?
It's like a little hidden gem over there, 252 too, because on paper they're a C engine, but they do first do work over there, man.
They had a very small first do area. That's what because Brooklyn had so many engines over that way, but there was a good area for fire. So
yep. And, we really didn't see much first do work. I mean, we caught a little bit of it here and there, but not like. I mean, you guys were in a perfect place. 270 was in a perfect place for first do work.
Yeah, I'd say that's where more of the competition was like you learn in that Brooklyn thing. You had to get out the door and move quick, man. You had to get out, respond quickly to make sure because there was another engine close by.
Yeah.
But
who did you, Larry? Who did you get close to? Like when you first got there, who was somebody the whole. You know what? I got along. I really liked it was different because you got to know everybody quicker because it wasn't a double house, Right.
So. But I became really good friends with Tommy Kavekis, and but almost all of them: John DiFilippo, John Feehan, Kevin. I love the guys. There was nobody. I really didn't have problems with anybody in that house. I really loved and had Pete Martin as a lieutenant, legendary guy.
Yeah, you had good lieutenants over there, man. Yeah. Rossweiler was good too, man.
Rossweiler was the best.
Yeah.
Rossweiler was him. Along with, I've had great captains. Him, Calamari. I mean, I think of those guys. Different styles, but great captains.
Right.
Great captains.
Yeah, Calamari take you 18 minutes to tell you like 3 things.
How is Norton and the cheese?
Oh,
Norton was my mutual partner, so I didn't work with him that often.
Oh shit, that could be good and bad.
Yeah, no, I love Norton. He was great. Man. It was another one too. And Richie Myers came over from 214.
Oh, Richie Myers.
That was another thing. They're both from 111, 214. That helps.
Right.
What about the fatness?
Who's the fatness?
Fish.
The fish. Fish didn't come there till later. He didn't come there till later.
Even I had to say, who's the fatness?
He didn't come there till later on.
That's my 24 partner. I love that guy.
Yeah, I loved him too. But he came there like the year I was leaving. The year I left, he came there. Well, no, when I got burned when I was there, and I was out for a bit. He came during that time. But Richie Sweeney, Mike LaRosa, just Feehan.
Feehan was there, right? Feehan was there.
Yeah, he was great. I worked with John a lot. We worked together at Joe Harris, who became a big chief. We worked together at the Starrett City fire, and that was something. That was like that was my first fire, where fatal fire. I wasn't at the Atlantic Avenue fire, but I just come out of rescue school. We just had the the stuff where you do all the Maydays and stuff in rescue school, and then I was out maybe a week, and we're there on the 9th floor of that. The building, Louis, right?
Yeah.
Did we talk about the Vandalia Avenue?
Yes.
Right.
And we were on, and I had the covering captain, Paul Hagland, who was a Rescue 4 guy.
Yeah.
Very good guy. We got in and we hiked it up. The elevator wasn't working, and we got to the 9th floor. We went to the command post, and I think your buddy there, Chief Coward, was the chief.
Yeah, and the 3-9. Yeah.
Yeah. And we get to the command post, and just as we got to the command post, you heard Bop give a mayday, and you could tell. I never heard anything like that. Like it was like he was suffering giving the mayday.
Right.
And that stairway was all jammed up already. I think what happened was I wasn't on that end, so I didn't see up there, but they couldn't even. They went from being able to get in the hallway, get that lady out of the hallway, to opening the door and getting. I think Danny Libretti had a stripe burn on his face from just opening the door to the hallway.
Yeah, I think they went in with 2 lines after a certain period of time.
after a certain period of time, because I think they couldn't even. And then what happened is Hagelin said, let's go the other stairs, which was like 200 feet down. And we went up. And when we went up, one of the guys from 170, another guy, I think had not the inside team, came out, came stumbling out of there. And it was like a freight train in that hallway. And the doors were open in between in the elevator lobby. So it was just wide open. And we went down, and Captain Hagelin took us down. At one point, he told us to force a door for in case we had to get into get out of the hallway or something. And I started forcing the door with a rabbit tool, and then he found Bop, so he called us to help him take Bop out.
Wow!
And I just left the rabbit tool there in the door, and it was like half pumped, so it was cracked open. But I just left it there to go, and because after the fire, people were saying, "Oh, they almost got out. They were, they thought the rabbit tool."
Oh shit! Yeah, but that was you. Right.
But then, and we got him. Me and John Feehan, I think, worked him on the floor below. But unfortunately, and I think that was Bop, and he was the furthest away from the flue. It was a fire at the back of the building. It was on the back of the building, and I think they opened up a door across the hallway.
Correct.
The door got opened up, and it created a flue, and they were right in that flue. And Bop probably would have been the only one to have a shot, but he didn't. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. But they didn't get burned. I think they got so overheated,
right,
that their air tanks and stuff. So yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah, man. I was
working that night, and I remember hearing the job, and then we were listening to it in the kitchen when it was going on. I remember. But
and then but there was a lot of stuff that happened after that. They tried one of those debriefings at the Rock like 2 or 3 days later, which was a big mistake. It almost wound up being a brawl. But
sure.
It was not not a smart thing to do, I don't think. But yeah, those were a lot of shit happened in that time in those years there, 252. And then I got like a year later, I got burned at a job. There was an arsonist who was lighting up Bushwick all over.
Bushwick guy, right?
Yeah, and there were tons of fires in like January and February, and then he killed a couple of like a kid and a woman at one of these. He was lighting stairwell fires. And then apparently we found out later he went into a mental institution, and the day he came out in June, he started the same thing. We had one of these nights. It was crazy, going from multiple to multiple. And then at one of them, we were way down in Bushwick. It wasn't our first new area, but we were coming from another job, and somebody comes up on a bicycle, and it turned out it was the arsonist. And he says, "Oh, there's another one around the corner."
Wow. So
we go around the corner, and it's a frame, and same thing going, up the stairwell. And Danny Murphy was working he was in 176 at the time. And and we had a chauffeur that that wasn't regularly always he wasn't that regular a chauffeur. And I think he gave us way too much pressure. But we had a detail from Staten Island who was put as backup, who probably shouldn't have been put as backup because he didn't, usually put somebody from the company. But so we got basically I had Danny Murphy behind me, and then we went up the stairs, got the first floor knocked down, went up the stairs to the second floor, made the turn towards the front of the building, and Danny in 176 went into the apartment in the back there, and I started to make the turn, and I don't think the backup guy never came around the banister. So I couldn't move the line. It was stuck around the thing.
So you had no backup?
No. And then it was a gasoline fire. I got, my legs got burned until the cheese man came blowing past that other guy and came up and
the cheese.
Yeah. So I got burned pretty good at that and did like 3 weeks in the burn center. But it was, that was some 3 years over there, 3-4 years. And then I left, I got promoted right before the Father's Day fire. But You guys were involved with that.
I worked that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that was crazy. Like there was a lot of multiple firefighter deaths those years. But so I got promoted. Yeah, I love the company. I love the guys there. They'll be friends for the rest of my life. And
how did they caught that kid though, right?
They caught him that night. He was hanging around. Yeah. But there were.
Oh my God, he was lighting up Bushwick for a long time, man.
Yeah, and that night he finished with there were 2 or 3 second alarms, a third alarm. It was just one right after the other. But,
Bastard.
Yeah. And then
you can always use a few of those guys. I said it out loud. That's on my head.
Was that your inner voice?
That was your inner voice.
Shit. Don't get old, Larry. You can't remember which one is which.
But let's see. From there, when I came back. My last tour, I was lucky enough to get a nozzle job there.
Look at this guy. He gets the nozzle job when he comes back, and then he gets promoted.
Yeah, I got promoted with John DiFilippo in, I'm not sure, May of 2001. And then I got assigned to the 15th. And I always remember the 15th, we went to see the deputy, and the overtime then the average overtime was 15 hours.
Yeah.
That much?
I remember it was always under 100. It was always under 100.
Yeah. And then they said, if you want to get a spot in the truck, or it'd take you 4 or 5 years. Like what? So. But I always, Tommy Kavekas, who I was very good friends with, always told me, if I was you, I'd try to get to 120, because he said that just that the firehouse itself, the company, Watkins Street, was just squared away at a fire, then squared away inside the firehouse, which was, and so that was another. Besides that, and the 2 captains, I'd had Captain Hay and who became a deputy or a staff chief, and Manahan and seven truck. They'd always talked about it. So by that time, I had a number of things point me that direction, but it wasn't going to be easy to do that, obviously. But the trade center, unfortunately, it just changed everything. But it opened up things.
Changed the playing field, man. Yep.
Yeah,
Sure did.
But yeah, so the trade center. I actually on the day of the trade center, I wound up. Rasweiler put me back in 252. I wound up going down there with guys from 252 because I stopped by the firehouse. I think I told you before. That morning, just as they were going out the door, and so we went down with a couple. John Fian, Chisano, Rob McDermott. We went down. John DiFilippo. One of the guys had a volley rig, and we went down, and we got there right a few minutes before the second collapse. But so then I wound up staying with them, and for about 6 weeks, I wound up staying there as a lieutenant. But and I got in a little trouble my first time. Getting in a little trouble.
What? Did you finger poke somebody?
What kind of trouble could that be? What?
No, I think you're talking earlier about they had at the time you might have had the same stuff in 288. They had California, Los Angeles firemen and Phoenix firemen were coming 2 at a time to the house, and they were doing the right. They were professional firemen. They were doing the right thing. They were cleaning the house while we were going down to the site, cooking meals, driving guys home, or doing whatever. And then one day out of the week, they'd stay for a week. They'd take them down to the site. They didn't have them doing anything dangerous, but I walked into. Somebody asked me to do a quick mutual. I showed up to do it. One of the guys left his Phoenix T-shirt on, and by the end of the day, I was out of sock.
Really?
I never liked you.
But,
Listen here, Tompkins. We're not from Phoenix.
But the trade center lost a whole crew of guys, 7 truck that I work with. Vinny Princiata, Richie Muldowney, a great fireman, Freeport fireman. Vinny Princiata, George Kane, Vern Richards, a great lieutenant from 17 truck that was fireman in 17 truck. Chuck Mendez, and I'm sure Bob Fody, all good firemen, all great guys. Who lost all those guys, and then I knew a ton of guys from Manhattan, and then we knew like everybody, we knew a ton of guys from SOC. So it was like just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that year is kind of like a blur to me.
Yeah.
But I got out of 252, and you know what? In a way, I think it was a blessing because I think it's hard to go back to a company that you were. You went many years later, Louis, back to a company where you were.
You know, it's funny you say that, like, because I got promoted in June of 2002, so we finished up pretty much at 9/11, right? We finished up at the ground zero for the most part, and then I got around May. I heard that they were promoting, the guys, and I say this all the time because I told this to other guys too. Captain Murphy came to me and said, "Hey Lou, you probably could stay in SOC if you want, right?
Yeah.
But go out in the field. If you can get to Brooklyn, go to Brooklyn." He was always a Brooklyn guy, and he said, "Become a boss, like become a lieutenant first, because like you said, it's how you're going to come back and these are your guys that you work with, right? They're your friends,
Exactly.
and now you're going to have to make tough decisions, and it just can get sticky initially. You know what I mean? Like so fresh." So I did that. I as soon as I got promoted, I went to Brooklyn, and I stayed there for almost 8 years, I think.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I
to your
mean,
point-
at first I was upset, because I just lost all those guys, and I'm like, But a couple of days later, it was almost like a little bit of a relief.
No, I wanted to get out of there. Oh yeah, I wanted to get
tough-
out of there.
it was a tough
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And then I actually wound up going down to the Trade Center in December they had like month-long details from the different divisions that were going down, and you'd watch the grapplers and looking out for
Right.
and I had something actually happen down there at like 4:00 in the morning. All the grapplers were taking a break, and this is in December, and I see something looks like just a little spindle. There's nobody in the pit at all, nobody. And I see there's something that looks like a little spindle, and I start to dust it off, and I'm like, this freaking looks like, and I see like a
Was it
cable
bone?
rail. No,
Oh.
It was 4 stories down, buried underneath, and I saw the aerial ladder, the spindle of the aerial ladder.
No
Holy
shit.
shit! It was 4 trucks rig.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I hesitated for about a half an hour before I said anything, so I didn't sound like an idiot. I finally got the chief down there, and sure enough, that's what it was. It took him about a day to dig it out, but they fell through the mall there, and they fell through a jeans store. So there were jeans on top of this, and you might have heard this story. There was some idiot reporter who made it sound like these guys were stealing jeans. And first of all,
I
all
did
these
hear
guys
that.
died.
I never heard that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This guy, William Languish, I remember his name in the Atlantic magazine. And then he'll say, "Oh no, people told me." I didn't say it was true. I said people told me, but these guys all died. I know the guys from Ford Truck died trying to rescue people from an elevator in the South Tower. But just unbelievable that they'd say like yeah, in the middle of like.
Yeah, they're gonna stop and steal jeans. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Dick. Gonzo, give me you dick.
Oh, I wasn't ready for that, but I got you coming.
You dick!
So I'll keep moving. From there, I went back to the 15th, and I bounced around, and it was great. And like you said, Louis, every rank took me time to get used to that rank and become better at it. Definitely. And I wound up getting into 120, which was a blessing.
How did that happen?
Well,
Can't gloss over that one. There we got it.
Well, I was good friends with Dennis Gordon. That helped.
Right.
Oh, that doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I was good friends with Dennis, and then also Rob McDermott from 252 helped me out. He had a relative that helped me out.
They helped you out. Huh?
Thank you.
They helped you out. It's like
Oh, there he is.
Looked like you looks like you were boxing Tyson in this one. I don't know what the hell's going on. You got black eyes.
I don't know.
the table.
Gonzo, do we have to pay that for that image? Getty Images?
I don't know.
I don't want to.
I didn't pay for it.
It's him,
I didn't
so they shouldn't,
But yeah, so I got, you know what it was too? There was unbelievably, Louis, there was just like not the amount of, and then suddenly the overtime took off. Same thing. There was not the amount of competition. Yeah. And some people were afraid of 120 because of the elevators and there's a lot of running.
Listen, not everybody wants to do all that either. Like it takes a certain person to do that shit.
I covered in 175, which is a great
Ooh,
company.
Nice.
Yeah, but I'll tell you the truth, they didn't run that much. Which
No, they don't run.
Their run to work ratio is awesome. 175.
Yeah.
Larry, they had. I remember that their the box that they had the elevator tools in had dust on it. I'm like, you son of, right? 103 and 10 and 120. We were going like this. The elevators like all night, right? Like the 1-2 Otis and 103. We were in the Starrett every goddamn day, man. Holy shit. And Workman and all those goddamn projects over there.
But you know what? It was better for me because I was like 11, 12 years on the job. I was a young lieutenant. That was no good for me to just do 3 runs a day. You know what I mean? It was even if it was, you had good ratio of fires. As you get older, that's a good firehouse for an officer.
Oh, yeah.
But for a young officer, I needed, and
no, I agree with that too.
And I'll be honest too, after losing, after so many guys, a part of me wasn't sure about becoming a part of any house. I was bouncing around, but it was the best thing that happened to me coming into that house, a very tight house. And I always, back in 7 Truck, I always played sports, basketball, softball, and these guys did all that. They did everything. They did engine truck, basketball, softball, bowling, volleyball.
Oh my dude, that place, I talk about that place. It's like 44 Truck. It's like one of the pinnacle firehouses, right? The alumni is incredible, right? The firehouse is incredible as it is, but the alumni is incredible. They do stuff together all the time. It's a perfect place, man.
Yeah, it's like the place is bigger than any one personality. And then the first captain over there was Harry Werner, and Dennis Gordon was an officer, and Tom LaSquadro. And
he was there forever, Dennis, right? He was there for
Dennis
some
was
ridiculous
there for
amount of time.
16, 17 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And then very senior, it was very senior, John Narbert, John Quealy, Kevin Canham, a lot of senior guys in the truck when I got there. And they treated me like, I'm sure you probably had they treated me, if I was younger than all of them, they treated me like with respect right away that I didn't even deserve. And but
makes your job easy, right?
Yeah, very easy. And they had roll calls. They always talked about fires. They were always looking, they admitted mistakes. They were always looking to get better. And I loved that atmosphere there. And then 17 guys got promoted out of the truck during the time I was there.
Wow, that's a lot.
I know. So it was always been a big study house too. So a lot of young guys came in, and the young guys were great. And that might have been
keeps the place fresh. Yeah, that's the best time, right? You're just fresh. Everybody's learning. You're drilling all the time. You're going to fires, talking about fires.
Exactly. As a lieutenant, it's very good because it gives you something to. And they were so enthusiastic. These guys.
120 to the 44, K.
Calamari.
We got a gas leak in apartment 4, David. I'll get your name in a second. We'll make it an 18 for a 1040 code 2. I love that guy.
And then when he comes, and then Bobby Higgins had been there.
Oh, Higgins. Love that guy too, man.
The two of them, it was the same thing, like going back to my first firehouse. Like when you got 2 captains in a house like that are so great, and they were great captains. I mean, great. And Calamari always said, like, he could like anybody, he could have a favorite, or you could get along better with certain guys, but he was fair across the board. He was squared away. You don't screw this up, you don't screw that up. And he was a lot of fun, and he was just it was great for that firehouse. Great.
I used to work in the engine there. I used to say to the captain, and he played hockey. I played hockey. I used to see Captain Higgins all the time, and his son played in the NHL. Right?
Oh yeah.
So
nobody cares about hockey.
So I remember saying to him, like, how are you still doing this, Cap? Like for years. Like how much time did he have? He was running around like
he was in phenomenal shape.
I know, but it was just like you'd think to yourself, like, holy mackerel! Like at some point you might go to like 313 or somewhere, like not that guy, not that guy.
Well, no, and he was too, like he with the people in the neighborhood there, he was like a saint. He was like a saint. He was He was such a good guy, man. He was just such a good guy.
Where is he, Ruffy? Get him on the show.
Yeah,
we got to work on him.
Yeah, no, he's a real class act. Him and
I'll get
calamari
calamari.
together.
I'll get calamari to work on that. The squid, we'll get the squid to work on that.
Yeah. And then a lot of the young guys are now the all-stars today. You know what I mean? Will Hickey. I don't know if you know Will Hickey.
Yeah. That's
Will
Bizel's
Hickey.
cousin, Will Hickey. Oh, brother. Yeah, his cousin or his brother-in-law.
Is he the one? Oh, Will Hickey. Yeah, he used to live next door to my sister in
New Hyde Park. Yeah. Great guy. He Rob Petrarca. I have all these names down there of the young guys. I don't want to forget them. I wrote down the name of just about everybody I work with. So I can remember.
Throw them out there. We don't care.
Yeah, in the engine, Mike Prolifrone with phenomenal chauffeur, Al Gracio, backstep guy for 25 years, Mike Laffin. No, the great guys there in the truck. Rob Brown went there after Dennis Gordon left.
That's right.
And
Rob Brown.
John Cleary, John Dooley, Larry Schneckenberger, Mike Kelly, John Norbert, Don Michelli, Danny Wetzel.
We might know.
Oh, Wetzel. Yeah, I might know.
I always joke about him. He would they have the roll calls every day, and they'd be like a half an hour. Guys talk about flyers or whatever, and Danny was always talking. Always talking. And then they'd always let the guy, if you're getting promoted, okay, you're the officer for the day. I'm going to ride the back step. But he's got to run the roll call. And then he gets to run the roll call that day, and he's like, humada.
I can't say. So I came on with him. I came on with Danny.
Oh, you came on with Wetzel?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we were pretty close. And then, to when I got to 290 and we would run into, we're first and second due for quite a few boxes over there. And, they would break my balls, especially like you said, when I first got there. But for me to be in the engine when I first got there, and Larry was in the truck and Dennis was in the truck, and there was a little bit here like this. I remember one of the first runs, we would come down the block the right way, and then 120 would come down. I forget what the building was. You probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
They would come in. They were first due on that side because the block was down there, and we would meet like this. And I remember we didn't have a hydrant. I would say, get on the radio and say 120. We don't have a hydrant. We were getting off the rig or whatever then I would hear on the radio, hey, 90, you can't get water from a parked car or some shit like that. They would everybody was always chirping all the time. But, then I'd go back, back up and go get engine ops and, fax over the, the operations or whatever. But I always get along well with Larry.
Yeah, I did too. With you guys. And I remember after we had a fire in the firehouse at one time, and you guys were over giving us kitchen stuff. There was competition there, but I think, especially between the trucks, with the engines, different story. But the guys always banging, but I wasn't in the engine. So, but with 103, there's times we banged heads, but
you're like this story. We had, unfortunately, in 2005 when we lost Richie Sclafani. And again, same thing, like you said, all the firehouses were great, right? Cooking meals and doing stuff for us and everything. And we made plaques up for everybody, right? For all the firehouses for doing the right thing, right? So we were going to your place, and I think it was Rob Brown was working, and we were just like a block away. And sure as shit, a fucking box comes in for a fire right down the block. I don't know if it was like just past Pick-In or something, one of those blocks. I mean, a couple blocks. I mean, we were right there. We're second due. So we turn, we're a couple blocks from your fire, from the block you guys are on. And all of a sudden we come, I got the plaque in my hand. I put the plaque on the dash. And as we're coming up to I'm like, I told Freddie, it was Freddie Gallagher. I'm like, Freddie, just heads up in case they're coming out, obviously, you know what I mean? They're going to be flying out of here for a fire, right? And you guys are just pulling out. And I see Rob, as I'm driving by, I look down the block, and he makes eye contact with me, and I can see his face. He's like, shit. You know what I mean? We're just like sickening. And we get up to the block, and now I could look in the mirror, and I could see they're turned onto a Pick-In or whatever we were on. And I say to Freddie, I'm like, stay right here. Let them in. I'm like, 120, you guys are first. And it was almost like he was like, what?
He's in shock.
Yeah, he was in shock, and then he went in, and then we came in second due, and I remember going up to him, and he was like, it turned out to be like a little bullshit job, anyways. But thank God.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Because you know what you could have done with that plaque. Didn't do that.
he said something to me. He's like, Louis, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. I won't forget it. I'm like, don't fucking forget this shit. I'll tell you right now.
What the guys in the back step say to you, bro?
Nah, they were cool, man. They knew.
Yeah.
Nah, they knew. They were right there. They were pulling out. They were right there. But maybe if it was Calamari,
I love that time. I love that part of Brooklyn. I love the competition. I loved all that shit.
The competition is good. It makes everybody better.
Yeah,
That's it, bro. That's what happened when the squads came, right? We made everybody better around us,
Yeah.
What did Hoppy used to say? It's called aggressiveness. Get used to it.
Yeah. They would complain to us. He said, it's called aggressiveness. Get used to it.
I won't go into. I broke my arm. We had a little accident, and I won't go into that too much. But I broke my arm.
My arm is broken.
And my plan was just to stay in 120 the rest of my career. But because I broke my arm and I got in a little trouble again. But
wow, you and Louis seem on this. You guys are actually parallel careers.
I will mention, one other fly before that I got in trouble on Hillsdale. And you guys, Hinsdale. You guys weren't there, I think.
Hinsdale.
It was shortly after Richie Sclafani, like a couple of months after that. Richie Sclafani passed Black Sunday there. And it was a freestanding frame, and Calamari was working in either 332 or 175 that day on overtime. And I'm working I'm working in the truck, and he called me on the radio coming in and said, Larry, set up the tower ladder, because it was the top two stories of the frame going. We thought it was front to rear, and it was a freestanding frame. So he said, we're gonna use the tower ladder. And the dispatcher sent 176 as an extra truck on calls. So now we get there, and then we figure just as we pull up, they figure out, the whole the back of the building isn't going. So we're gonna make a push. But it was a Collier's mansion. It was a crazy building. But now everybody's there at once. Squad, rescue, 3 trucks and a fast truck, and all these, and it's a Collier's mansion. So now everybody goes in the building at once, which shows you, that they're coming in at different,
times. Yeah, right.
Times
Speed.
is better. It's much better. It paces out better. But so it was crazy. And then so we got to go to the top floor with second due truck, and it's crawling over bags and we get up to the top floor, and 176, who didn't have
assignment.
They just followed us in. And yes. And it's the only room that's not on fire on the top floor is this kitchen in the back. And we don't have a line, though. They can't even get a line. It's so crazy. They can't get a second line past the first line. It's just craziness. So we're up there, and we're bumping into each other in that kitchen. It's ridiculous. 2 inside teams. And then they start calling for everybody out of the building. And there was a little bit, and somebody from some company somewhere made a comment over the radio about fighting fires from the inside in Brooklyn or something like that. And which was not good. And the chief got pissed. But then we were delayed. It was my spot, so I was a little delayed, and I waited for everybody, and you couldn't get out quick because it was Collier's, it was bags of clothes on the stairs and shit. So it was a long delay getting out. So I got in trouble for that one. I got a month SA. All the truck officers got in trouble. 176, 175, because we didn't come out of the building quick enough.
And you didn't poke nobody. Believe that, Coop?
Oh my! You didn't poke nobody.
Nah. But then I got in trouble one more time there. But
wow, trouble follows you.
But and I had 2 or 3 months SA after I broke my arm. I had a couple of months SA, so I studied because I was SA, and they would give me a lot of overtime. There was a lot of overtime at the time, so I was able to study. That's the only reason I became a captain, is because of that. Because I went to I didn't.
It ruined you.
Studying.
So you study, you get promoted captain in 07?
07, yeah.
And you're assigned to the 1st Division.
Yeah. And
did you work in the 1st Division?
I did. I worked in the 1st Division, and I was at the Starrett. I worked in 3 truck the day of the Starrett City fire. But we got down. They sent us like on the third alarm, which was a delayed alarm, and we didn't. The guys actually do. It was right around change of tours. I was listening to the initial calls. It sounded bad. Then there was nothing on the radio for about 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden the third alarm. The guys thought it was like for relief, and then we're going down Broadway, and you started to hear. I could hear over the radio. Something's going on.
Not good. Yeah, it's not good.
So. When it was crazy too. The Trade Center site was all construction site still, and you had to break through these walls even to get close to the building. And we got in, and actually, Chief, who's now a staff chief, Al Hay, got 3 truck, and we went up the stairs. Like, it was weird, all the stairs, because I think it was the first building they ever did a demolition and a.
You're talking about Deutsche?
The Deutsche Bank building. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you were talking about the Deutsche Bank. I thought you said something else.
But it was the worst of it. The worst of it was over when we got there. I mean, it was still going on, but the worst of it, I think they'd gotten the guys onto the elevator. But
yeah, that was a mess. Man. All the stairways were plywood.
Yeah, and the stairways were sealed at each floor.
Yep,
it was a really strange thing.
That was a mess, man. That was a mess waiting to happen. And the sprinklers weren't. I mean, the standpipes weren't working.
Yeah, that was great. That was a real mess. But I don't think they'd ever done a demolition and a asbestos removal at the same time like that. It was crazy what they were doing, and they had fans in there that were like that were still working. They were like a vacuum. They almost looked like they were like 10 or 15 like it looked like washing machine sized fans that were like pressurizing the area, and I think that's what's made everything screwed up. You know what I mean? There was just like plastic sheeting and it just screwed everything up. But
I can't imagine. We had a few people on that talked about it, but I can't imagine like you get out into the hallway finally, right? You think you're free, and then you go down, and then there's like I mean, it just does like a sheet of plywood across. You can't even force your way out of the thing, and you only have a certain amount of air.
Yep.
And nothing is where it's supposed to be, or I mean, that's got to be crazy.
Nightmare.
Oh, yeah, it is a nightmare. You can't even get out onto the scaffold. Some of the guys did get out on the scaffold. I remember the conversations, but
there's one guy. I forget his name. He's one of the most senior guys on the job. He was in, I think, 16 truck. He saved a bunch of guys, got him out onto the scaffold. Kenny Ruane, yes.
I've been trying to get him on the show.
Yeah.
I don't know. Give me his number. I worked with him. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's from our neighborhood, Roof.
Bizel knows that guy very, very well.
Did you know Kenny Phelan, too, in your neighborhood?
Yeah. Didn't they name a street after him?
He died in the Trade Center. He was a 7-truck guy.
Yeah.
Also. He was in
That's how I know that name.
Yeah, he retired. He passed away. He was in 217, but he was working. He was paying back a tour in downtown Brooklyn.
Yep.
But anyway, that was. And then that year I did I thought I needed college credit, so I was going to school, and I wound up working at headquarters under Chief Hay there in Safety Command. But that was interesting because I got involved. I was editing just like the doing the grammar shit for the couple of fatal fire reports. So I got interested in that stuff and looking at all the fatal fire reports over the years and shit. And it was interesting just to see, like if there were like patterns about how shit gets fucked up. and then the SOC thing came along. So, but then I had to do a year at rescue school. Just
got to pay the penance.
Yeah, just
the ring.
Did a tag team with Louis.
I was getting out. He was coming.
Oh, you were there at the same time?
For a month.
We were there for a short time. I think I was leaving and he was coming in. You were relieving Rex, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I worked with Rex and Kiesling, I think, for sure. However that worked out on their times, I think.
Yeah. So I had Rocky, and that's how I wound up like meeting Rocky.
You got a picture of Rocky there, Gons.
Yes, we do. Sorry about that.
And I said, if I ever get a spot, I'd go for Rocky, right? I mean, because Rocky kind of like flew in underneath. So a lot of these guys didn't know who he was. And he had a ton of experience.
Oh my God, does he have experience? This guy, you would never even believe it. Like,
come on,
I used to say all the time.
Come
on, cuz.
Come on, cuz.
And he remembers flyers, like he remembers details. He's got a good memory.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's like a
But
fucking
so yeah, the
band
rescue
practice.
school was good for me too, though, because I didn't, you know, I've been out of SOC all those years, and I didn't remember the special operations stuff so much. Did you,
You're too
Louis?
busy going to fight.
No, I was the same with you. Like, you know, doing the trench stuff and, you know, all the other shit, you know, even the
Trench.
ropes, like doing all that stuff. When I came
Ropes.
back, we did the firefighter removal class, right? You did all the new classes that they came
Yeah.
out with, you know.
Yeah, that was brutal.
And that was,
Firefighter removal.
and it was a lot more advanced than when we first did that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
The collapse stuff was all different, right?
Why'd you go back to SOC, Ruff?
What's that?
Why'd you go back to SOC?
Because I moved upstate.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, I thought your buddy
I moved-
came back to SOC.
He kept calling me. He's like, dude, you got to get out. You got to get out of there. You got to come back to SOC. You got to come back to SOC. So
He would tell me, dude, it's like a fucking kindergarten class. Yeah, I got to fucking constantly guys fucking coming in the office. And
it was
like,
3 hours. It was like 3 hours to get home. Like you said, the work even started to slow down a little bit. It wasn't as, you know, after Richie passed away, it was a little different. You know, like,
Sure.
like it had changed a little bit. And I said, you know what, maybe I need a change or something, you know. And I called Chief Alfamina, you know, similar to probably what you did, and that's how it worked out.
Yeah, no, it was good for me. It was good for me, and I was impressed too by like these guys, that the extent that these guys, you know, the guys that teach the classes and shit, that how much they knew, and the effort the guys put into the collapse simulator.
It is crazy. That is true.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I'm not. I wouldn't even compare myself on any level to those guys that do that kind of shit. I mean, so
have you been down there lately at all to see what's going on down there now?
The last time I was there, I think there was the plane for
Yes, it's
for
awesome.
Chief Downey.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But yeah, no, I'm very impressed with the level of all that shit with those guys. But and then I was out there bouncing around, which I loved. I love bouncing around SOC, man. You go, you know, you meet everybody. Everybody treats you well, and you go into good companies. You got a shot at, you know, when I was bouncing around, I worked everywhere, and then I caught the most fires in Rescue 5, bouncing around.
Really?
Yeah, I had a really good string over there. I had crazy shit happen too. And I also had, you know what they get over there? Using the Hearst tool jobs over there. They have
they get a ton of that on the ton of.
Because all those Italians driving with their arms out there.
They're like this. Put up, doing the lean.
I was saying at a roll call with one of the guys, I was saying, I can't believe how many, you know, Hearst tool jobs I'm going to here. It's like every tour I'm going to 2 jobs, and we're working, we're doing something. And as I'm talking to the guys in front of the firehouse, you hear a car flip.
Here we go.
But I had good fires there. I was there for a couple months. But and then, you know, Rescue 1 was opening at the same time, and as 41. And Captain Murphy was really, unfortunately, he got ill, and he had to retire. But he was really the person that was going to get 41. But so he had to retire, and then all these guys were going for that big shiny Rescue 1 spot, and 41 was a better fit for me anyway. I'm not as much the emergency guy. Like I just admitted, I'm not. That's not my. I prefer the fires, regular firehouse stuff, and 41 was open. It was like a clear path.
They go to a lot of fires, man. 41.
And I loved that place years ago when we were in the squads. I'd done details there, and I always loved it. It's like a regular firehouse in there. You know what I mean?
That place that area is a shithole. I mean, it's like it's just around there. It's incredible. Like it's incredible. Like what's going on around there.
And the fact that they shoot over the bridge to Manhattan too is like, it's no brainer, bro.
And you know what's good there? You know what's good there, which I didn't do a lot of ever before. It was good because it's totally new borough for me, and it's a different world up there. You had to get used to it. But the H types, there's always a lot of places for the squads to go. There's always places for companies to go there because there's so much. You know, routinely, you know, you get a second, third, fourth floor flyer in an H type. The top floor is heavily exposed, and nobody's assigned there. You know, I mean, not the second due trucks going to the floor above, and so there was always places to go. So that was, and the house, the guys were great, a phenomenal firehouse.
Who were you lieutenants there?
Oh, I had, well, originally Mickey, Sean Genovese, and Timmy
Sean.
Grant, they were all great. And then when Timmy left shortly after he got promoted, Rocky came in. To me, that's like the New York Yankees, Mickey,
yeah, man,
Genovese and Rocky.
There he is.
Mickey was I learned a lot just watching the way he operates. And then he went to Rescue 3, so I got to go to fires with him. But just so squared away and
there they are.
He is pretty. He's one of the top firemen on the job. Always has been. And on top of that, he's such a great instructor. Like I remember, like you said, like sitting in on stuff that he was teaching. He was always out there teaching, doing stuff. He enjoys that, and he did a great job with that.
Is he still working, or he retire?
He's still working.
Oh,
he's still working. He's like 63, and he got in good shape again. But he was just always squared away. Like you looked at his gear, was always set up exactly right. I mean, he was, he was always in the right place, and he didn't have a big ego. I mean, he always wanted to be in the action. There's no doubt, but I saw he gave up grabs to the first two companies and stuff. I seen him do, but just a great guy. Sean Genovese, the same thing, man. Great.
He was there forever, Sean, right?
Yeah, he was there as a fireman, and then he went to 61 when the initial squads, and then he came back over after 9/11, and he was there a long time. Great fireman, and then Rocky too. Rocky fit right in. So, and it took me, I'd say. It's a different rank. At fires, it's the same when you're captain as a lieutenant. It's the same deal at a fire. But in the firehouse, it took me, I had to get used to the rank. And that's what's, I had to retire early for medical stuff. But I felt like I was just kind of getting used to that rank. Because when you're bouncing around, it doesn't mean anything because you're not going to be a captain.
Right.
You just found your groove.
Yeah. So, but which each rank was like that for me. But I was everywhere I went. I just had like a blessed career. I got lucky to get places. I got lucky the people I worked with, such quality people, and really, I mean, I didn't. You could talk about this stuff forever, but the stuff in the firehouse, just the way guys, I was a bit of a knucklehead when I was young, and just watching the way guys do the right thing in the firehouse, how they take care of families, how they take care of people, stuff in the neighborhood. 41 always did that with the local church there. And guys like Tommy Kavekis in 252, he set it up with the local church. They'd get the poorest family in the neighborhood and, we'd give them a Christmas. We get the priest to tell us who the poorest family was around there. We'd give them a Christmas, bring a tree and gifts, all that kind of shit. And Don Glennon, who was from 120 years ago, they'd got like a baby Jane Doe that nobody, at a fire that nobody ever claimed, whatever. And Walking Street did a big funeral for her, just shit like that. And Captain Higgins, these guys just were such quality people. And, I mean, to be able to be a part of that in your life, even though it's over now, it's hard.
I agree. 1,000%. I learned so much from guys doing the right thing, like in every facet of everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. No matter what it was, and everybody was accountable, right? You know what I mean? Like it initially it forces you to do it, and then after that, you just do it. Like you don't even think about showing up to stuff and doing the right thing, like you said.
Sure.
Where do you think you caught the most fire duty, Cap?
I don't know because it's all I caught good fires everywhere I was. I'll just talk about a couple of fires at 41 that were interesting. One of the last fires I was at was row frames in the Bronx, up at the upper level of where we would 41's response area, and I thought we saw Brooklyn were very good with frames because they had so many of them, but up there it was on a hill, which they didn't have. They don't have no hills in Brooklyn.
No.
And the fire started the first frame on the corner and went up, a steep hill. So it moved so fast, up to the frame, went through 4 frames and into 2 private dwellings.
Wow.
And that was some fire. And then I had, and we got in quick on that and like within, so quickly it was in the 4th frame already and moving so quick. There weren't enough lines to go anywhere. But
We didn't do so good there.
yeah, no, it was a tough one with a hill.
No,
But then I had one in Harlem that was a weird one too. It was a fire on the first floor, like underneath the stairwell in a tenement, in the back apartment on the first floor. As soon as you walked in, and we came and we think, oh, it's like nothing. It seems to be like knocked down. And then the chief says, "You want to check the upper floors?" And we go upstairs, and the stairwell is like burnt. It's like there's little flames, like it had lit up. There's little flames around the window frames and door frames, but it wasn't on fire still. But we get up to the fourth floor and there's a door open, and the whole apartment is going on the fourth floor. 3 stories above.
Yeehaw!
We might need a line up here, Chief. I don't know.
That's what I said. The chief almost didn't believe me. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Yeah, we got an apartment going on the 4th floor." He said, "The 4th floor?" And then, unfortunately, Danny Pritzker found on the 5th floor, he found a girl had stepped out into what had happened is the hallway lit up, came out and lit up. I'm not sure what caused it to do that. And it lit up. And then it just was like craziness because there was trouble getting lines or whatever. It was like 6 o'clock on a Friday night. It was insane. Companies coming in, and it auto exposed to the 5th floor, then the 6th floor. Became one of those crazy ones, but the guys always did 41. The guys always did a great job there, and always would like nonstop, do whatever it was until you had to leave. I mean, they not nonstop. Great guys and a lot of fun in the firehouse.
Right,
a lot of fun in the firehouse.
Does Rescue 3 go across to Harlem too?
Yeah, they do. But But what was good is we were a lot lower. We beat them into.
You go right over that bridge there, right into Harlem, right?
Yeah, and so we could beat them, and we get in pretty quick. And the same thing for like Lower Harlem, like for Rescue 1 had a long way to come up, so we get in there quick. I mean, it was a great.
How far did you go down? Like what street was the cutoff?
Like approximately 80th on the east side and 90th on the.
Oh,
west
I didn't know.
Wow, that's pretty far down.
Yeah, I know.
Wow,
I didn't know that either.
No.
Yeah, no, it was
I
good
thought it was
because
hundreds. That's a big area.
If you look at Squad 18, for them to get, you know what traffic's like in Manhattan?
For them to get all the way from downtown up to Harlem?
Yeah, no, it's in the middle of the day. At night, it's one thing, but in the middle of the day, it's.
Wow, that's a huge area, man. You guys had.
No, it was. I just want to take a look to see if I'm forgetting. I'm sure I forgot multiple things. I mean, the guys in 41. Brad Daly, John Barrett, Jimmy DeShulo, Jerry Kennelly, Jimmy Smith, Smitty, Chris Brown, Steve Porras, Danny Pritzker, Scott Hickey, Mike Lindy, who went to 3, Timmy O'Toole is my chauffeur, Brooklyn.
There's Timmy O'Toole. Is he still on the job, Timmy?
Yeah, he's on it. He's getting close to getting out. He's got about 35 years. He was great. He was my chauffeur most of the time. He'd start telling me a story right as we're backing the rig into the quarters. He'd start a long story just as we're backing into quarters. I was like, dude, why don't you tell me, like, we just drove 5 miles.
Yeah. he's a really good guy, though, man. He's a great guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very talented guys. They're very, I had a lot of fun there. One of the first nights I get there, we're coming back from something, 3 o'clock in the morning. We pull in front of quarters, and there's like 10 women out in the street, a pregnant woman, a midget, and like all these other women. And they're having a rumble in the street. And I mean, like a real rumble in the street. So we get out, and it was like playing. And for some reason, the midget, I had to block the midget from going in. Sorry. So it was a lot of fun there.
Yeah, you got the midget.
Dude, that place is crazy. Around that place is
my God,
freaking crazy there. I talk to Mikey Grigoli. He tells me all the time what's going on over there. It's mayhem over there.
Oh, it's crazy. They got they're all, supposedly they said that K2 is coming back. You know that.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, that's
good.
Yeah, that'll be great. Okay.
That makes people zombies.
Yeah. More for me and you. Good.
Yeah,
good. More fun.
The haggling out of idiots. What an idiot.
But the guys were a lot of fun too. There was a lot of joking around, like Scotty Altman. I remember we had on 149th Street had some EMS run, and the guys are working on the guy in the street, and I'm trying to write the paperwork, and this guy keeps on tapping me on the shoulder behind me, and he's got he's trying to sell cell phones or something. I'm like, all right, guy, leave me alone. I'm doing something, and he keeps tapping me. And it turns out Scotty Altman's telling him, tell the captain wants to buy a phone, get him. Shit like that.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you can go back to any point in your career, where would you go? What time would you go?
Let me see.
It's tough to say. I mean, 9/11 screwed everything up, right?
Yeah,
So I'd hate to say, but you know what? Like I said, like after 9/11, the best medicine for me was getting a spot in a firehouse like Lockton Street, because I thought I didn't. My two companies I've been in lost everybody, and you guys know you lose all that, and I was just like, do I want to get to know all these people again, and or be in a company like that again? And the best medicine was doing it, and
Right.
and getting back in the game and going to fires and hanging with the guys. I truly loved everywhere I went, and it was for each place was right for its time. And like I said, all these, to be around. I didn't mention half the names, but like legendary firemen. And I always thought that when I first came to Brooklyn, like that when I'd see some guys and know that, see what they're doing at fires, I'm like, how does this is before firemen got all this attention. I'm like, these guys are freaking unbelievable. I'm like, how does nobody know about this shit's going on in the world? Like what they're. But then I think afterwards, maybe not getting all that attention is a good thing, because sometimes the attention is not.
No, I agree with that too.
But yeah, I'm just impressed. Like, how lucky I am to have had that. Even though it's over, it's hard to accept that. But I couldn't do it.
How long you got now? You got out in 17.
Yeah.
That's a while, 7 years.
So we did the same amount of years too, 27 years.
Yeah.
Right? You did 27, I did 24.
Like this, you guys, man.
But it's one of those things I think, unless I did everything Rocky wrote it out to the last minute. I always feel like I should have done that, but it is what it is. You have to,
Sometimes you got to go when it's not your choosing,
It happens the way it's supposed to happen. And lucky, we're lucky we get to spend time with our families. A lot of guys are gone that, we all knew. And
I tell my wife that all the time. This is all these 20 years, these 23 years or whatever the heck it is, 24 years now. It's all gravy.
Yeah.
Right? If you think about that like how easy it could have been, just luck of the draw, right? It's all gravy, man. Everything we're doing is all gravy.
Oh yeah. I think you were talking about Blackmore. I think that he used to have that thing on the t-shirt. Don't sweat the small stuff. And remember, it's all small stuff.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, it could have been worse, Ruffy. Something could have happened.
So tell us about
that could have been your family liaison.
You could have been my liaison.
I could have been your
my wife.
liaison.
You know what I mean?
Nah, I'm not saying that. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
Hey, Larry, tell us what we were talking in the pre-show. You were saying you've been going over to France now. You got some stuff going on over there. Tell us what you're doing.
Oui.
Yeah, well, my wife's, she's Italian actually, but from France.
Oui.
But so yeah, she inherited a house over there. I've been visiting over there. Like I used to do it like every other year, go and visit. And then when I retired, I happened to be over there when COVID happened, so we stayed for a long time. And then she inherited this house, so we fixing up the house and been spending half the year over there.
That's
She's
awesome.
on the Mediterranean.
How's your French?
It's not. It's not so good after 30 something years. It's not so good.
But you're getting there. You can understand what's going on.
I can understand generally, yeah. But I have trouble initiating conversations sometimes. But I can pretty much understand most of the stuff that's going on.
You understand when they say, "Oh, American."
No, by me, they're not the like Parisian type.
They're not the snooty French.
No, it's like the southern. It's like southern. It's a different world down there.
All right.
But yeah, no, good, very good, very. Her town is like the kind of place where people. Her mother, who died at 99 years old.
Wow.
Still knew people that she went to kindergarten with in that town. I mean, people. It's that kind of place.
They don't move. Yeah, they don't move.
Yeah.
They all stay there.
And good, and from the get go, like They treated me like family over there. They're very
Did
good.
you spend any time at the French Firehouse over there?
I did. I done some couple
knew
of
it.
things. Yeah, I went to
Vigili del Foco.
a place up above. I think I told you I went to like World War I battlefields up there.
Oh,
with
that's
some
cool.
firemen. Up in above, like the poorest part, the coal mining part of France, and the patron saint for firemen and Saint Barb as the same saint for coal miners. So they have like an annual thing, and I got invited up for that. And the guy, one of the firemen from up there that invited. It was a great week and everything. I went by myself, and then he came to New York the next year when I was in 120. And the night he came, we caught like 3 jobs. So it was like,
Wow. Up in
Holy
France?
moly.
But no, not in France.
He came to New York.
Oh, he came to you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good for him.
I told him, yeah, it's like that every night. You know?
That's what Rookie used to tell me in 103. Yeah, it's like this every night, kid.
But let me just see if there's anything
Yeah, check it out.
Check.
Was there any other pictures we had to go over, Gons, or that was it?
We have the Billy or Sully rather. We had
Brian Sullivan,
Brian.
a great addition to the company, a great guy from the get-go. He came over from 252 and phenomenal guy. Fit in like the day he
Big
walked
Ranger
into the
fan.
firehouse.
Nobody cares. I'm just whispering that. And then we have a little story behind this one.
Oh yeah, that's the guy on the left. There is Vinny Princiata. That was 7 Truck. We used to do the high-rise unit things that was in the books that was never put to use ever. But it was, like if there's a high-rise fire, they would drop. The NYPD would meet us at the Rock, and you'd get in there with, certain. It's in the books. I don't even know if it's still there. Certain tools, and they drop you off on the roof. And so once a year, as a drill, they just give us a helicopter ride. We do it, run through the motions, and get on a helicopter and ride around. That's Frank Gribben, who became press commissioner, there with his back to us. Lieutenant Kozlowski on the right, and that's Vinny Princiata. But I had another picture. I think I gave it to his family at the time, but that had him looking at the camera, and behind him we were at like the 80th floor of the Trade Center, flying around the Trade Center. So
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
There you go. This is Kevin Brown checking in. The high-rise roof team, HRRT.
I don't even know if they still do that. They never used it. So Brad Daly, Scotty Altman.
Scooter, he said.
Scooter.
I tell you a quick Scooter story. He was always like the social worker. Like if we went on an EMS run, he was always like sympathetic to the people. So we go on an EMS run. There's an older woman, Hispanic woman. She doesn't speak English. She fell out of bed and she probably broke in the middle of the night. She broke a leg, and her daughter's there, who's like in her 50s or something. And we come in, and now we're waiting. Lady's got a broken leg. She's sitting on the bed, and we just got to wait for EMS and the projects. And Scotty's there, and he's talking to the daughter, who's in her 50s. And he says, and we find out everything about the mother. But then he says, but how are you doing? Really? And within 2 seconds, the woman tells a whole life story. She bursts into tears and runs into Scotty's arms. He's like, and this happened at all these runs. I'm like, what's this guy doing here?
Scooter.
All right.
He's a lieutenant over there now.
Excuse me.
You're right, Guns.
Yeah, it's just fucking sign this thing. But and then we got 3 pictures. So we have 2 of this particular incident training thing here.
Oh yeah, that's just they were doing confined space at the top of the one of the towers on the Brooklyn Bridge, and they wanted us to do, in case they were doing some special, because inside the towers there's rooms, and so they sent me, Liam, and Timmy Grant up there, so we got to walk up the cables and go to the top of the bridge there.
Sweet.
Nice.
We did that on the 59th Street Bridge. I'm not a fan of it.
You don't like heights, do you?
No. Nope, not a fan. That's why you got to go first, because if you sit there waiting, forget it.
Hey, you let it build up the anxiety. And the last but not least.
That's a recent, that's a couple of months ago. The 252 old man dinner at Zoom Stompish.
Nice. Did you have the steak tartare?
No, I don't even know. You know, you never. That's the problem at these things. You never get to really eat. Everybody's talking, and you never get to.
How about the labor casing or the sauerbraten?
I think I had the sauerbraten that
What
night.
did you just say to me? I don't like it. I'm going to take it as offensive. Whatever you just said to me.
Listen, you go get some hot tea or something. You don't sound
bro. Yeah, it's terrible.
Like shit, Chief.
That's why I'm trying not to talk.
But with Louis, I had a very similar path to you, right? I mean, you were in a regular company, which was great. I'm sure you loved 117, right?
I did.
And then went to the squads, and then to Brooklyn,
then to the ghetto,
and then back to SOC.
Back to SOC.
Yeah, we retired pretty much almost the same time. I think I got out in 19. So it was just.
It's good. This kind of stuff keeps me from being totally, hearing the other guys talk. You know a lot of the guys, and to hear them talk about stuff, it keeps it alive.
That's why we like doing it. Keeps us in the game.
I'm glad he did it.
Mm-hmm.
Great story. Great career.
So,
but you know what time it is before we let him go?
Yes.
Well, he can't go anywhere.
We got to milk some of that wisdom. We got to milk
time for the old school tip.
Oh, you.
All right, Cap, take it away, brother.
I guess for me, like going back to that first fire I talked about where I didn't notice shit, like where I let a lot of stuff, like I just blew, my head was on fire. My head was going full speed, and I just blew past a lot of stuff I should have noticed. That, my whole career, I always tried to slow down enough to catch stuff like that. And there was one other thing I just want to, because it's similar to that. I had early on in 7 truck, I remember I had a covering officer from the Bronx who'd seen a ton of fire, one of those guys from the war years, and we had a fire in a commercial building in the utility room. And I brought in a dry chem, and we go in this utility room, and we knock down the fire. There's not a ton of fire. And then with the dry chem and the smoke, you can't see what's going on. And the guy said to me, the ceiling was glowing. And the guy said, Larry, why don't you just pull that? And I thought for a second, well, we're in a utility room, but, he must know what he's talking about. So I reach up with a wooden hook, thank God, and it arced on the metal part of the hook, and it melted the hook like butter over the top of the
wow
thing. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel, because it was dry. There was no water in there. We used dry chem. There was no, there was a dry wooden hook, but the hook was in the firehouse after that. It was like a piece of butter melted over the end of it. but it was that thing of basically, noticing shit or speaking up. I always told firemen underneath me, if there's something you see that you don't think I see, just speak up and tell me. Because afterwards I told the guy, oh yeah, I thought that. And he said, well, you tell me. If you he says, I had a brain fart, and you think of that, tell me. Don't just go along with it. And but that thing with the fire and not noticing stuff, I think like in a truck in particular, they used to I don't know where it came from. I think Will Hickey told it to me. He got it from somebody else. But if you're going around to, if you're the roof of the OV, and if, we're always flying off the rig as fast as you can and get in there. But he said the guy would always go to the corner of the rig and touch the same spot and look at the building real quick, just to take in what's there. Literally taking 2 or 3 seconds to just slow down enough to focus on what's going on in front of you. And then you're less likely to miss stuff. Like you might, because I talk to guys sometimes, somebody had to get to the rear, and on one side is a driveway wide open going to the rear. As another side is a fence where they got to break a lock, and they miss the driveway and they go right for the fence. So it's that thing just to take an extra couple of seconds to size something up. And also with that, for me, it was I always loved like looking at buildings in your district, because if you know buildings, it makes a huge difference in the way you can fight if you're being ready to fight a fire and you're comfortable to fight the fire, and to know where to go and what to do. And I always think of in 120 one time they were vacating a building, and we'd been by like 10 times to this building during the vacate. And on the first floor, they were vacating apartments. Above the first floor was a commercial like deli or something. And they had holes in the floor and everything. And next, and on the second floor, and and out the windows along the side of the building, and outside the windows was the roof of a 1-story commercial. So sure enough, the next day I'm in, boom, we get a ripping job in there. And
That's crazy.
We go up and we know exactly where the holes are, and we can go along the side of the building to the back. If it's bad, we can hop out this window, fall on this roof next door, just because we looked at it, and it's not like we were, it's just because we'd seen it that we were able to do that. But so that's the thing. Just know your buildings and take a few seconds to size something up so you catch it. That's it.
All right. Excellent.
Great job. Before we get to the shout outs and the thank yous, let's play the last two commercials, Cons, really quick.
Yes, sir. All right. Here we go. Armor Tough.
Need a new floor for your fire station? Choose an Armor Tough interlocking flooring system to cover your aging, stained, cracked concrete or epoxy floor. Armor Tough has been around for nearly 20 years and has proven to be the best choice in renovating your station's floors, covering nearly 600 floors across the country. Proudly made in America, Armor Tough comes with a lifetime warranty and are usually installed in 1 or 2 days, depending on the size of your station, with virtually no disruption in your station's operation. Our system is guaranteed from chipping, cracking, peeling, breaking, or staining. The tiles are stain resistant and impervious to chemicals or volatiles that are used in the fire service. Damage one tile, lift and replace without anyone knowing. And once installed, your floor would be easy to clean with just soap and water. Is your current floor slippery? Eliminate the slip with Armor Tough.
Excellent.
Excellent. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And last but not least,
here we go.
The First Responders Center for Excellence is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to protecting the lives and livelihoods of first responders. Their education and research initiatives aim to bring greater awareness and understanding to the challenges to the health, safety, and well-being of firefighters, EMS personnel, and other first responders too. They are an affiliate of the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation.
all right, the old school health and safety tip tonight is, you ready for this?
What do we
If you
got?
start a program, whether it's exercise or a diet, don't start too harsh. Don't set the goal high. Start little increments. Start with your diet. Cut one thing out of your diet. If you start exercising, train once a week, twice a week. If you set the goal too high, you're going to make yourself miserable and you're going to feel like you failed when you can't complete what you've set. So set it low and then always build up. There you go.
I like that one, Kobe.
Thank you. All right, we got a couple of shout-outs. The first one I have is actually for Captain Graham's nephew, the little boy, Cooper. He had cancer, and we got a message from Captain Graham that he is doing fine now, thank God. So all the prayers, and this is a Christmas miracle, because he had a very aggressive form of cancer. And like I said, through all the prayers, and he is right now, he's doing well. And from what we see, he is in remission. So thank God. And our prayers
Some good news. Thank you.
Good news.
Yeah.
It's a Christmas miracle. And unfortunately, we have a line of duty death. We have, standby, Mr. Kubla. Ooh, that's my dad. The Chattanooga, Tennessee Fire Department lost its most senior member, Captain George Turley, over the weekend in a line of duty death. He died of a heart attack while on shift, working out at his station. So we're going to give the 5 bells to Captain Turley. He was the most senior man in Chattanooga. Stand by. Rest in peace, brother.
Yes.
Capt.Tompkins, great show. Awesome career, great stories. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys, man. It's good to talk about that stuff.
Yeah, come on. We'll have you back on again. We'll have a like a training episode.
I shot my load.
Make sure you're around in August. The first week.
Oh,
of
right.
August.
We got the boat ride. We have a boat ride every year around the Manhattan. We have the John J. Harvey. We go out on a fireboat.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome time.
Good
Oh,
time.
nice.
Every guest from the past year is invited on, so we'll see you then. In
Bring your
August.
plugs. It's loud.
First or second week of August. I don't know what it is. First week of August, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Anywho, you got any shout outs, Roof?
No, we got a show on Monday. Correct.
And
Right
that's the
before
last
Christmas.
one for Christmas.
Chief Rice, last one before Christmas.
Yep, 17 truck guy, and then Coombs is off, out of the country, going to Spain, Europe, doing it. But I'll be doing a show from Spain. I'm going to film a show in the Spanish fire department.
I think you guys was too. It's the anniversary of the Starrett City. Were you going to say something about that, or
Yes,
we talked about it earlier?
Compton, you had it right, Vandalia Avenue.
I have a picture of it. Yes, I figured you can just. Excuse me. I'll share the image if you want to just read off the names for me. I had the other image on there, but I had to remove it. So this is our 26 year anniversary. Was actually yesterday.
Is it
On the
26
Vidalia
years?
fire.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Yep, that's Bohan Bob. What Cavalieri?
Yes.
Yeah, I had them up earlier, but I had to change the image out.
All right.
I can't even believe that that's long.
26, 20 years. It's crazy how fast time.
That means you're old, Rafrano.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Not me.
No, that's not what it is. No, not you.
No, I'm forever young. All right, guys. Cap, stay tight. We'll in the post show. Guys, be safe. We'll see you Monday night before Christmas. Yes, we love you too, Cindy Drake, and all you guys in the chat. Until then, you know what I say. Stay low and go.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Larry. Merry Christmas to you. We'll see you at the big one, everybody.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend. Good night.